Welcome to Driving Immersion. This is the immersive racing experience. We drive full-length races in full simulation settings from the driver's cockpit with a Fanatec wheel and load cell pedal set. This time around, we are at Interlagos in São Paulo, Brazil. We are driving the McLaren MP4 in Automobilista 2 as F HiTech Gen 1. We have Gerhard Berger's car so that we can see Ayrton Senna on his home circuit. Green flag has dropped, and we quickly move our way up the ranks. We are in 6th place by the time we get to turn 2. And that is one of the Ferraris behind us now. Ahead of us, Christian Fittipaldi in one of the Benettons. And there is our car for today, the number 2 McLaren of Gerhard Berger.
Checking on mic, check 1.
Now in the infield, we come in through turn 8, a very sharp right-hander.
We are now in 7th place.
Turn 9 here to the left. And turn 10, another very sharp right-hander. And we're going to go downhill through turn 11 to the left. There we are. Turn 12 here, a very slow left-hander as we climb up and approach the main straight through turn 13, 14, and 15. Pit entrance here to the left. You can see the entrance there on the right of your screen. And here we are coming across the start-finish line for the first lap of the race.
Very wide, and I had to avoid traffic there.
This is a 59-lap race here at Interlagos.
That is our teammate.
And right away we are behind Ayrton Senna in the number 1 McLaren.
There's a car way up ahead. It looks like one of the Williams.
Big lock up there from someone up front.
And that is one of the Williams there that almost spun.
See by the sponsorships on the McLaren that this time around Honda had put their engine in the McLaren.
Is that the Tracy? Yes, it is. And it appears that's his teammate way up front that's taken off.
Around to cross the start-finish line once again, we are challenging the Benetton.
I don't have a lot of wing on this car at all. So at the end of the street, we had very good speed.
There is the number 27 Ferrari, and that would be Jean Alesi.
We do have very good mechanical grip. Added air to the tires.
By lap 3, we are in 3rd place.
We do a lot of understeering, but the car really does feel planted.
Turn 10 once again. Another time down through turn 11 and left here on turn 12. And we are fighting for traction as we try to accelerate out as hard as we can.
Have a look at our speed here in the street.
Here is turn 15. A fast lap here for the number 2 McLaren, 1.7 seconds faster than our fastest lap so far.
Right,
keep in mind,
up to Tracy.
This is still very early in the race. That is Riccardo Patrese in the number 6 Williams. Turn 8 here at the crest, and we're going to go downhill. A very slow turn 9, second gear. Another time around turn 10, also a very slow right-hander. Down the hill briefly until we get to turn 12 as we go up. Ricardo Patrese staying with us here on this lap.
Mansell has disappeared for now.
Another faster lap for the number 2. Currently in second place on lap 5. And way up ahead is going to be Nigel Mansell in the other Williams.
There he is.
You can see him as he comes around turn 4. Brake very hard. Touch the curb just a little bit. Now this is the modern configuration of Interlagos, so the curbs are modern day. So you are able to drive over them and use them as a part of the track. So right now on lap 5, we are just 0.05 of a second slower than Nigel Mansell.
Some time on Tracy. Hopefully this means that we are getting closer to P1.
Turn 1 and turn 2 and over the sausage curve on the right.
Sausage curve. Putting a lot of wear on our front tires.
So for this race at Interlagos, we are going to have to manage our tire wear. We do allow refueling in this race. However, history says there was no refueling at this time in Formula One. And a little bit wide on the apron here as we exit out of 13.
Very wide. Alright, he is 6 seconds ahead. 6.5. Slow lap for us.
Lap 7 now, coming into the infield with the number 2 McLaren. A very good race so far.
Oh, we are going for a spin.
Spoke too soon. There is a spin by the McLaren, and Ricardo Patrese gets back around the number 2.
Tires are hot from that spin. We're going to take it easy for right now. Let them come back a little bit. See the back end wants to come around.
Yes, the HUD does display the rear tires are hot from having to correct our spin. And it looks like they are taking their time to cool back down. You can see the temperatures are a little bit higher for the right rear. If you're enjoying the race, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit that notification button. It really does help our channel out a lot to get our content out to other race fans like you. Thanks for watching.
We will be coming in 3 laps. Oversteering, understeering. Oh, don't know what I was doing there. Very slow lap for us. I believe the tires do feel like they are gone.
Here is Ayrton Senna in the number 1 McLaren coming around to cross the start-finish line. That is Michael Schumacher in the Benetton just behind him. There they are at the back of the line here, with Mars Medina as Gerhard Berger, currently in 3rd place on lap 9 of this 59 lap race. Very wide on the apron to the right. Thankfully it's very flat and does not affect the car too much, other than making a longer lap than everybody else. So Schumacher battling there with Senna just behind the number 2 McLaren. Here comes Senna as we enter 1, 2, and 3, getting closer to the number 2 McLaren. He's going to have a look at the inside. Yes, he is faster now. So both McLarens wheel to wheel here in turn 4. Here comes Schumacher once again. And that is turn 8. Very treacherous turn 9. Locking up the brakes in turn 10, a very sharp right-hander. And here we are trying to adjust our lap strategy. Again, there is refueling allowed in this race by mistake. History says no refueling. So if the number 2 is going to have worn tires, we are considering bringing it in for a refuel as well as a change of tires. And here we are looking at the settings once again. Off track for the number 2. Not very good here, losing time around the lap. There's got to be an easier way. So Mars Medina here calling for the pit stop ahead of time. The tires feel very worn, and we are definitely fighting grip here in the number 2. Now at the very top of this...
So, if I come in for the pits, I can't ask for Any more wing?
At the very top of the screen it says tire only, so no fuel being added this time around. So coming around for another lap here in the McLaren, we are desperately seeking to see if the tires have cooled down and if they could continue to provide grip. We can skip our pit stop that we had called in for and go with the original plan. And I believe that was lap 15, not very long a ways. There we got to see on the front tires there is some flat spotting.
Here we are due for our pit. Lot of understeer. Too bad I can't keep an eye on the temperature of the tire. We can use this graphic.
Here we are into the pits. No speed limit. And by the look of the HUD there, we are changing tires. We're also refueling.
We are fueled.
There's nothing to be repaired at this point. Again, being new to AMS2, we have damage turned off for now.
Nope.
And that would have definitely knocked off a wing.
Are the tires really that cold?
Looking at the tire temperatures, definitely no tire warmers at this time. And that is why we had a very slippery exit out of the pits here in the number 2. Back on track, we rejoined in 20th place, pretty far back into the field, but again, a very early pit stop.
First cars to pit. See there that we came out in 20th place.
A lot of smoke on the track. Somebody must have locked up. On the inside, and we
I knew I
touch.
would slide out.
Pulling us into the wall, into the right. Again, no damage, so we continue on. Did not cause us to spin, but we were definitely off track and into the wall.
The Ferrari guys are kind of slow.
Quick look at these two cars. You were made to believe that they are Ferraris. They are not, in fact, Ferraris. Run for a very short time in the history of F1. I believe those are Fords underneath those bonnets. And If you know anything about that team there with the red-colored race cars with the Marlboro sponsorship, comment below, let us know who they are.
Big power slide on the exit. Again, we don't have a lot of wing on this car. Very good top speed, but no grip on the turns.
And we are going to be pushing the black and yellow car just a little bit. That is, I believe, Gianni Morbidelli, and I think that is a Lamborghini, if history serves me right. So lap 16 now, as we came out of the pits just several laps ago. We were down to 20th place. We have slowly moved our way up. We are now in 15th. Ahead of us, Michele Alboreto. And having a good look around the track with
Maybe
these
there's
track
just
side.
a lot of marble on the track. Maybe that's the reason for the massive understeer.
With the trackside cameras, you can see all the elevation changes here at Interlagos, which is a big part of the challenge here.
Kind of a slow lap for us. We do have a lot of fuel on board.
That is 4.5 seconds slower than our fastest lap here in the number 2.
Remember, we have got a heavy car.
Another off-track excursion there for the number 2. Another lockup for somebody up in front. Amazing detail here on the cars. And this is a mod added to AMS2 as well. And this mod is by the Immersive modding group, IMG. Having a very long look here at a group of very slow cars up ahead. Don't exactly know why they are going so slow. We are back up to the lead, Nigel Mansell. And then Ricardo Patrese. And the similar liveried Williams duo. Diving underneath into turn 1.
With someone.
And we are going to get around all of those slow moving cars. Clear track ahead of us now as we approach turn 4 in the number 2 McLaren. Clear skies here at Interlagos. Blue flag here being indicated. I don't know if it's actually for us. It's very possible at this point of the race that Nigel Mansell could be coming around. I believe that blue flag will be applying for us. There we are, indicated on the HUD.
Getting the blue flag.
Quick look back, no one back there right now. And at this point of the race, if we are getting the blue flag, it could only mean that the leader is coming around. There is the blue and yellow of the Williams. believe that at this time, in this generation of F1 cars, it was Williams who had mastered the active suspension, and everybody else was left floundering around the track until the next year, where the rest of the teams had active suspension, and then very abruptly after that, it was disallowed in Formula One, and that was in 1994, I believe, or 1995.
He's gonna come up here and pass.
So we are continued to be shown the blue flag. He is not close enough to make a pass, and right now we are kind of having to wait for him. The longer that we circulate here, being shown the blue flag, it's likely that we'll be given a time penalty or a stop and go. Don't know exactly what the rules are back then with the blue flags. And again, we are looking at Nigel Mansell in the first place. Williams, he is number 5, Patrese number 6. But it's that blue, white, and yellow car. That is the number 2 McLaren just up ahead as we are driving from the nose of the Williams of Nigel Mansell. Turn 3 here as it opens up to a straight. And in modern day Interlagos, this is a DRS zone. Here is turn 4, a wide left-hander. Very slippery, however, as the elevation goes away. Turn 6 now, and as we look at Nigel Mansell, he is getting closer to the number 2 McLaren, driven by Mars Medina. Again, on board with Nigel Mansell, currently in first place. Now, it's been a couple of laps that we've been circulating that the number 2 McLaren up there has been shown the blue flag. However, Nigel Mansell is not able to gain any space and time right here. And we are wondering if there's going to be a penalty put on the number 2. There is the blue light flashing once again that indicates blue flag situation. So Mansell has to get up here very quick. Again, if we take too long to wait for him, we do lose time on the track. There we are. At least both cars are on the same frame in the screen. Hopefully he can make his pass very soon here. And we are worried that the number 2 here is going to get a penalty for driving under the blue flag. There goes Mansell. The number 2 here, 1 lap down here at Interlagos. And this is the year that I believe Williams
Very fast. I'm actually driving in the hole, and I still can't make up time on him.
At this time, Williams was a very much faster car in the field with the active suspension.
Got a lot of weight.
Up into turn 12. We get back around Nigel Mansell as he had a very slow exit, but he is on the inside here into turn 1. We drive him over the curb and over the grass. And he is going to start his passing process once again around this number 2 McLaren. There is the blue flag once again for the number 2 as we come in through turn 4. Turn 5 here. And there we are. As long as he's close enough to make a pass, we can let him through so that we don't have to slow down so much that we are going to lose time. Nigel Mansell back up ahead of the number 2 McLaren. Once again, that is Gerhard Berger's car with Gerhard Berger's helmet in the seats. Looks like Mansell is coming in. There we are. A couple of cars coming into the pits. 3 cars that we've seen. Now Mansell can come in. He is way up ahead. So he's got that extra time to spare. Couldn't quite see who else came in. And nobody's indicated in the pits right now. Mars Medina here in the number 2, enjoying 7th place. Lap 24 of 59 here at Interlagos. A sunny and warm day here. AMS2 has the ability to actually match the historic weather. And so that the weather forecast is going to be accurate for the time and year of the race. Something that Project Cars 2 was able to do, as AMS2 is based on the same platform and game machine. And essentially what you're looking at here is the matured version of Project Cars 2 if they would have continued to develop it. Again, this is the same engine. The graphics look very similar. Here is an exploration. Can't quite tell who that is, but definitely that engine is gone. Wondering how much longer they're going to go around. I believe these are Fords. And you can correct me if I'm mistaken. Ford was actually very big into Formula One at this time, and again, this is the early 1990s. A lot of black smoke coming out from this car just up ahead. And we're going to get around him into turn 9. Very slow into turn 1 as the back end was starting to come around. for the apron between 7 and 8. This is now turn 9. First gear, turn 10 here to the right. A little bit of camber as we go downhill into turn 11. Turn 12 here as we are going uphill once again. A lot of elevation changes here at Interlagos. You can see how steep this part is.
So right now the greatest limiting factor is this massive understeer. Again, we just don't have a lot of wing on this car. See our speed here in the straights. That blue car looks like he's having problems.
Yes, our setup here for the MP4 is not too different from what comes standard with the vehicle. And here in AMS2, there's really not much to have to manage as far as setup. You could probably put on a little bit camber or put on a little bit of wing or take some off depending on your style. But the bound and rebound of the shocks and so on, we don't have to mess around with. This group of cars is very easily drivable around the track. And with our time here in AMS2, we are going to be trying many different kinds of cars, mainly the Formula One cars, as they are very fun to drive. The open wheel cars here, in comparison to the full-bodied cars, even the GT and GT3s, very different to drive as we don't have to manage the weight that is being put onto the tires, so we can act and react very quickly here. Again, without having to manage or consider the weight. And that is why we enjoy the Formula cars. And again, these Formula cars in AMS2, very well modeled here.
Throttle. A little too hot coming in.
A quick look at the HUD on the upper right. You can see there that we are in 7th place. The orangish dot, there is a red number 1 behind us, and that again is going to be Nigel Mansell. He did come into pit, and that is why he found his way back behind the number 2 here. And he was actually one of those cars that flashed into the screen coming around to the left on the other end of the main straight. Turn 3 here for the number 2 McLaren. And by the map, it looks like the number 1 Williams is exiting as well. There he is. Nigel Mansell back behind the number 2. But nearly a lap ahead now. We continue to work with Gerhard Berger's car, a very good car to drive. All of these cars here are actually fantastic to drive. A lot of good force feedback in AMS2, definitely worth the price of entry. And right now we do have F1 2025 back behind the curtain here at Driving Immersion. Just not as fun to drive. We are waiting for the update for the 2026 season, and we may get back into the F1 series after that. But right now, AMS2 has the game to drive in. on turn 3 once again. This is now lap 30 of 59. A little bit over the grass there. We may be making some adjustments on the car or the pit stop. Now we did pit before lap 15, so we were about 2 or 3 laps early of our programmed pit stop.
Still a lot of understeer. Trying to be patient with it.
There is the blue flag indicator once again for the number 2 as we expect Nigel Mansell to come back around. Once again, this is the modern day configuration of Interlagos. The previous versions also here in AMS2 do not have the blue light boxes that we see alongside the track. There is Nigel Mansell back around in the Williams. Again, a very dominant car in this era of Formula One. We're approaching some traffic here, and I believe that is another one of the Lamborghinis. Can't quite tell who that is by the helmet. Hanging on here very tightly to the steering wheel.
Made up there. Or possibly a footwork. Almost went around a very lazy turn.
Quick look at a couple of other cars in the field. This is one of the closest races right now on track. Back to the number 2, a big lock up there by the car up ahead. There is Ricardo Patrese in the other
Tracy,
Williams.
I believe. Got bumped. not racing with this car. Should be getting the blue flag right now. There we are. Again, a very slow lap. Definitely losing time.
Coming around turn 10 in the number 2 McLaren. We are currently in 7th place, and these cars right here we are actually lapping. So the variance in speed on the track here amongst the cars is very great. You can see the Williams came around and disappeared very quickly as we continue to lap around these back markers. I believe that is the second time around that black and yellow Lamborghini.
Very busy trying to change the pit strategy here.
So lap 34, we are looking to change out of these tires. Not a lot of wear, but again, very little grip. We did not modify the pressures from the default setting. And in fact, during the practice, we didn't monitor the heat or temperature as we circled around doing laps. Something that we'll have to do for sure in the next race, as it does affect the grip. And right now, the grip on this set of tires is very lacking and costing us a lot of time around the track. Now at this point, we only have 11.3 liters of fuel, so we are going to go for a pit stop that is going to fill the tank for the rest of the race. We are now on lap 35 of 59. So a little bit more than half of the race is finished. But we'll definitely need to put a lot of fuel in as we are preparing for our last pit stop for the race. Again, later in the race, your tires are expected to last just a little bit longer as there is a little bit more grip on the track and the fuel weighs less. So while you are able to drive faster and faster, there is little or lesser wear on the tires as the race progresses. turns 6 and 7, and then eventually 8. Downhill into turn 9 to the left here. And if you are enjoying the racing here in AMS2 with Driving Immersion, please don't forget to give us a like and click on subscribe. Also the notifications button for upcoming races here at Driving Immersion with AMS2. We're also racing in Le Mans Ultimate as well, again, as the Formula 1 Series. Again, we are waiting for an update to F1 2025 for the 2026 season. And while we are waiting, we are actually enjoying very much the racing here in AMS2 with these classic Formula 1 cars. If you're just joining the race, this is the MP4 McLaren. And again, we are circling Interlagos in the modern day version. And around the track, you can see there is the DRS markings or indicators as we circle around.
So the power plant indicator there in the middle of your lower screen is showing yellow, and there is a number 26. I wonder if that is the amount of wear on the drivetrain or the engine itself. Oh. We are doing a lot of understeering through there, just putting a lot of wear on these tires. I think we're going to go with this set of softs, perhaps on the next pit stop, which, believe it or not, is coming up. We only have 3.4 liters of fuel. Automatically called in. I was waiting for that. Not enough time to change our tire strategy here.
Here we are into the pits. Again, no speed limit.
But speeding in the pit lane, there's no speed limit. Are we paying our penalty right now?
Very slow stop for the number 2.
Oh, what's going on?
And into the barrier once again with a set of cold tires.
There's our teammate. Still racing with Lacey.
That is Ayrton Senna just up ahead, and I believe he is 1 lap ahead. coming into turn 1 once again. Driving as Gerhard Berger in the number 2 MP4 McLaren here at sunny Interlagos. Doesn't look like the weather is going to break anytime soon. And so we are enjoying a very good drive. Now, we've been fighting off a lot of understeer, but at the end of the day, the Williams is just very dominant.
So we made our last pit stop. These tires should be good to the end, and they'll be worn out, and we should have enough fuel at this point.
Lap 41 of 59, we dove underneath the
rubbing there with the
footworks.
footworks. Drove right underneath the Ferrari. Here are kind of intent on hitting you whenever you're near or within the vicinity. Now we do have a penalty seconds up there, however, they're showing 0 now. I believe we paid that. And our last pit stop, hopefully that was the case, going to be
on board with the number 2 McLaren. You can hear the tires squealing as we turn very sharply left into turn 1. And we continue to fight the understeer here on this car again. Very little work on the race setup, and that's probably why. In general, we like to have a little bit less swing on the front and a little bit less swing in the back, hoping that that margin of a reduction in drag is going to give us a faster car. But right now it's just giving us a lot of understeer. Interlagos here with all the turns and all the elevation changes. Needs a lot of grip on the car. So perhaps we didn't go the right way with the setup in this race, but right now we're actually not too bad into the field. We have been lapped by the 2 Williams and our teammate. Here is John Lacey, the car just ahead of us on track. Coming in through the infield as we are just coming in now. And there he is on the exit. This is Ricardo Patrese in the second place Williams.
Running on the wall. We are 30 seconds behind John Lacey, I believe.
15 laps to go here at Interlagos in the number 2 McLaren.
We really don't have enough wing on this car.
We are watching Ricardo Patrese as he drives in through a lot of traffic, actually on the grass on the infield just to get around these 3 slower cars. And the Ferrari follows him through. So the 2 cars make it happen. Exiting the infield here. Another Benetton in the way. Tracy a little bit off into the grass, but here he comes with a much faster car in the Williams. And again, that is just how dominant the Williams cars were at this time in F1. Back with Mark Medina in the number 2 McLaren, driving as Gerhard Berger. Having a look around, a very clear track forward and backwards. So hopefully we can put in some good lapping here, but again, we are fighting a lot of understeer. On board with Mars
Don't know
Medina.
exactly why he keeps doing that. It just totally understeers.
Again, very wide through turn 4.
Very deep. Did not make it out of there.
Trackside at Interlagos, we continue to enjoy the sound of the Formula One cars. A very different time in Formula One. And If you've never been to a live race with Formula One, if you're seated at the grandstands or anywhere along the track, you'll be able to hear the cars before you can see them. And that is just how loud they were.
It's crazy.
Turn 10. So we actually have very good mechanical grip here on the slower parts of the track.
Very clear track ahead of us right now. Can't seem to be able to put in a faster lap. Over the sausage curb, and the car rotated. So right now, I don't know if the tarmac is changing temperature-wise, but this car did not behave this way at the start.
Crossing the start-finish line once again. This is now lap 51 of a 59-lap race here at Interlagos. Again, the early 1990s McLaren MP4 of Gerhard Berger, driven by Mars Medina, the number 2 here. The other McLaren with Ayrton Senna on his home track. Having a quick look at the map on the upper right of your screen, you can see there is a red dot coming up behind the orange number 7, which is the number 2 here. And that would be the number 1 lead car of Nigel Mansell once again. And he is coming around to lap us. Again, another indicator of just how fast the Williams were. There he is, just flashed on your screen just momentarily coming into turn 8. A very clear track up ahead for the number 2 McLaren. Here is Nigel Mansell in the number 5 Williams, currently in the lead. Perhaps he'll come around for a second time, but we are now on lap 54 of 59. So if he does come around the number 2 once again, instead of doing 59 laps, we'll only be doing 57. A couple of laps shorter here as the race will end when the leader will cross the start-finish line. There is the blue flag for Mansell, who is just behind us here in the number 2 McLaren. A little bit of tire smoke here from somebody up ahead.
On the left front.
So once again, Nigel Mansell on 55 laps, and he is the car just behind us, currently out of the picture, but on the long shots you can definitely see that he is approaching. There he is, just flashed on your screen just very momentarily as we come around turn 8. Nope, that was turn 10. Two very similar right-handers, both very sharp and very slow. Coming up through turn 12, 13, 14, and 15. We're going to cross the start-finish line once again.
5 laps left.
1.8 seconds behind our fastest lap here in the number 2 for that last lap.
Curious to see how turn 1 is going to look from track side.
Again, having a look at our fuel, it's possible that we may have overfueled the car at our last pit stop. But of course, we were not planning to be 2 laps down. Very important part of the calculation. So if Mansell comes around once again, and if we let him, we will be done as soon as he crosses the start-finish line. Timing shows that he is on lap 56. And whether we drive fast or slow, he will definitely get around us before the end of the race. There he is as we let him through. And with that, we will be doing one last lap. Lap 58 of 59. The number 2 McLaren, driven by Mars Medina. Currently in 6th place. And we are going to stay behind Nigel Mansell here, who is the leader, who is 2 laps ahead at this time. See there in the timing that there are many cars more than 2 laps, 3 laps down. Again, this era in F1 was not very kind to slower cars. There were no full course yellows, and very, very rare, if any, safety cars. Another aspect of Formula One that made it very exciting in the past, but not if you are the slower car. So here we are keeping up with Nigel Mansell in the Williams, and it may appear that he is not that much faster. But it's very possible that he could just be conserving the car now until the end of the race. He is actually on lap 59, so the next time that he crosses the start-finish line will be the finish of the race for him and the other cars behind. So this will be the last time around. And there we are. That is the finish of the race. Winner is Nigel Mansell in the number 5 Williams.
At least graphically. But on the tarmac here, it just didn't feel like there was a lot of tire at all.
Again, that is the end of the race. Here is a quick look at our tire situation. Still in pretty good shape. However, did not provide a lot of grip, and again, very slow here for the McLaren. At the same time, a very dominant time for the Williams. Really could not compete here at Interlagos. So if you've made it this far in the race, don't forget to click like and subscribe and click on the notifications bell. It really does help our channel out a lot, and it gets us out to other race fans like you. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.